Nothing better than being out in the garden, especially in the middle of summer when things are growing like crazy. We've got corn that's just ready to be fertilized. We've got squashes that are growing like crazy. This is just a fun time to be outside. But critical time for the corn to get it fertilized so it's going to produce well for us. Every year I have people that come in, they're like, hey, my corn didn't grow as tall this year. It was a lot shorter and the ears were smaller and they didn't fill out all the way, or else they didn't produce at all. And a lot of times they blame the variety of corn. It's like it's the corn's fault, you know, don't give me that variety. Well, in most cases it's the soil's fault because it doesn't have any nitrogen in there. And so the corn needs nitrogen. It feeds pretty much strictly on nitrogen, and without nitrogen your stalks won't be tall, the ears will be small, and they won't fill out all the way, and you won't get good production. So at 3 intervals we like to fertilize the corn, usually at about 12 inches tall, when it's about 3 feet tall, which is about where we're at right now, and when it really starts to tassel. And so we're at a critical time where we want to fertilize the corn, and we're going to use a straight nitrogen. There's a lot of different varieties out there. I've used a natural fertilizer called milorganite that has a high natural source of nitrogen in there that works great for the corn. Has a lot of natural iron in there as well too. There's some really great options out there. Today I'm just going to use ammonium sulfate. It's a quick release, straight nitrogen, 21% with a little bit of sulfur in there, and the corn's going to pick it up and utilize it really quickly. So I just grabbed a scoop of that, and it's just a white pellet, and it's very water soluble. It'll dissolve almost instantly. And as I go down the corn, I like to put about a teaspoon to a tablespoon around each cluster. And when I'm applying it, I don't do it this specifically, but it should look about like that. So about a teaspoon to a tablespoon for each cluster of corn, and I'll just walk down the rows and just sprinkle it as evenly as possible so that each cluster of corn gets the right amount of fertilizer. You can do it a couple different ways. I just use my hand, just walk down the row and just broadcast it in there. If you get some on the leaves, it'll burn the leaves a little bit, so just be aware to try and get it on the ground only. Some people will use a broadcast spreader, either a handheld or over the shoulder like this. You can just like put your fertilizer in there, sling it over your shoulder, and then use the fertilizer spreader to apply the fertilizer as you walk down the rows. Uses more fertilizer and ends up feeding the weeds as well too, but it's a lot faster and it's very easy to do with a fertilizer spreader like that. But it's essential that you get that nitrogen on the ground around the plants and then water it. We use a soaker hose to water, so our soaker hose, after I finish putting the fertilizer on, I'll turn the soaker hose on. That nitrogen's going to dissolve, go right down into the ground. So we've got a couple different sizes of corn growing here. We planted at 2 different intervals. So planted this first, it's about 3 feet tall. Planted another crop about 2 weeks later, and it's getting close. It's almost 12 inches tall, so I'm about ready to fertilize this for the first time. And so 2 weeks between these plantings, could be about 2.5 weeks, and then 2.5 weeks after that we planted some more, and this is just coming up. So this is only about, it's only been planted about 10 days, so this is just really starting to go. So we've got multiple intervals of corn that we'll be able to harvest throughout the summertime. So it's essential that you do a little bit of fertilizing, make sure the corn gets the nitrogen when it needs it, and if you do that, keep it well watered, deep watered when it needs it, you'll have great corn production all throughout the summer and even into the fall with some late crops.